time is yours.
Okay, let's start then. Okay, well, so welcome to my presentation. Today I will present my thesis project called My DLN or My Digital Lab Notebook. These are the guidelines that I will follow during the presentation. First, I will introduce you what is a paper-based lab notebook. Then I will briefly summarize all the research done during the whole process. After that, I will explain the most important concept of my DLN. And then we will see some videos of the prototype working. And after that, I will conclude the presentation. So what is a PLN or a paper-based lab notebook? Basically, it is a method for record data, ideas, or approach during the course of a research project. Also, it can work as a legal framework in case there is a legal problem like a patent litigation, for example. And physically, we can say that it is a formatted book with printed guidelines like a table of content, a footer, or the header, for example. So during the whole research and development of my DLN, I follow this work methodology. First, I did a visual analysis or documentation, either of a PLN as well as how scientists work with them and with their computers. After that, I did some surveys, interviews, and group meetings with different people in order to understand better the problem and the possible solution of this my DLN. Then also I did a completed and clear defined group in order to be more concise of what I was going to do. And every time I was having a continuous contact with all the future users in order to keep improving the development of the application. In this case, the target group was people from the areas of biology and biochemistry. This is basically a decision that I took because I have a closest contact with these people, and also because I think that as more specific the group is, clearer will be the results. So, which are the current problems that I could see of PLN? The first one is a serious problem of portability. Normally, after 2 or 3 years of work, scientists start getting more than 2 or 3 books, also with a lot of pages inside, which make it kind of complicated to be moving from one side to another, and also it increase the size and the weight, so it's quite a problem for that. And the second problem that PLN has is it requires extreme organization and order. Otherwise, data could be lost or could be difficult to understand it. Another problem which is quite important is that nowadays PLN don't support new media formats. For example, if there's a picture that the scientist wants to see and wants to have a PLN, he has to reduce the picture, losing data, or he has to fold it in order to have inside the book. And last but not least, they found nowadays very difficult to read or to find data. Could be the previous items mentioned, or also could be bad handwriting or any other situation. So after understanding that, I decided to do different surveys in order to first define how scientists use PLN, how also they use a computer, and how do they link both elements, and also to start defining the background for my DLN development. The first question was related with the frequency of scientists using PLNs. As you can see, every day, three times a week, as well as sometimes was a higher number. So it means that PLN is still being an important piece for record of data for scientists. Then the other question that I did were related with the use of computer either outside the common working place, like a bench or the office, also during the weekend. And as you can see, the results were higher for any odd place as odd time. Well, this result that we have in this question was also very important. It's about how do they link both computer with the PLM. As you can see, they don't have a big number. They don't have a link, or the way that they are linking data is very minimal or complicated. I don't understand that they could be printing and pasting all the time what they have, or they could be writing in the book exactly where they have the files located in their computer. So then the question was to understand if the DLN could be an interesting device, and in this case, not surprising for me, nobody answered that the DLN won't be an interesting application. So after knowing that, then was the next step was to resolve how my DLN will be development. For that, I asked about the different preference for devices or platform, and the results that we got here make me decide that the web application will be the best solution. By this way, I will target either people who are using different platforms as well as different device, and there will be a better solution in this case for at least for the first development of my DLN. So in order to summarize the biggest problem that PLN have and which are the possible solutions, mostly all of them are related with data. PLN is complicated to not only read and to find data, but also it is not possible or is not convenient to share or to even organize or track data. By developing a DLN, all these things could be resolved, as well as portability problems or organization of all the work that the scientists could be doing. So now we can talk about the design concepts that I adopted for the development of my DLN. These are the following that you can see in this list, and I will explain one after another in the following slides. So order of priorities is a decision I took about which are the most important areas that my DLN will have. In this first version, there will be project, experiment, protocols, and results, as well as calendar, to-do list, and files. Project will be the main part of the apps. It will be the place where all the information related with every project will be summarized here. Information like hypothesis, conclusion, or core result can be there, as well as link from every different experiment, protocol, or any kind of file that could be related with the project. It will work in a way to summarize what could be a draft paper or could be a completed project from the beginning to the end. Experiment is, in this case, for MyDLN, is a way of grouping all different protocols one after another, with a specific change or additional information that it could be necessary that scientists need to have. Why I arrived to this conclusion? Because when every scientist is doing an experiment, what they are doing is a continuum list of different protocols in order to find out the final results, or it could be the same protocol with different changes one after another, and therefore there should be a way to organize all this information. Also will be a space for additional or final conclusion, also to preliminary conclusion in case the scientist needs to write it. Well, talking about protocols, this is my next area. Protocols is a plan for having all the information that the scientist could need for every kind of action. It could be related with an unusual event or for a standard operating procedure. The idea here is that user will be able to edit everything that needs, but also to add a descriptive picture in order to understand better how to perform a protocol. And some elements like the state table will be completely editable, giving to the user complete control of all the data that he needs to manage. The last one of this group is results, which is an area where will be located all the files or all the pictures that are related for every project itself. In project, the user can add results but sometimes they want to see the result independently from all the extra information that could have a project. So in this case, result works as a way where the user will be able to see all the pictures and analyze them without any other extra information. Here it will be possible to edit, to modify, or to delete picture, but what that won't be possible will be to create a new group of pictures without linking them to a project. Otherwise, the control and organization of data could be a problem from the user to not know from which project this group of pictures are related. Calendar won't be so different than any other calendar that we can see in any web page. The two things that I should mention is here that there will be information about every time that the user edit or create some element in other areas will be visible here in the calendar. By this way, it will give to the user the chance to see all the work that he was doing, but also what he's gonna to do in the future weeks or days. It will help him to organize and to analyze all the work that he's doing. Also, in calendar will be related with a small agenda widget that will be in the main page and will be showing the upcoming events. To-do list is like a list of pending tasks. It's a list where all the events that are still not resolved will be organized there, and the user will be able to mark as done or to remove or to edit them. Also here they will be visible all the elements that were added in every project, which has a small pending task section for each project itself. Files works as a way for storage all the files that the user in any moment decide to load, either in this page or in the other page. You have the option to load different files. It will look like a place for having all the files organized, and he can edit or also remove them. So the next concept is called differentiation by color. This is a concept that I adopt in the whole interface. The idea here is that the user will see where exactly he's working, not only by the title or by the information, but also by the color that the whole page is having. For example, the blue one for protocols or this red one for results. It will help to the user to visually know exactly what is working and get fast access to all the information. The first two problems that I had to resolve here in order to create a good color palette was to avoid tidiness of the user and also color vibration, when these two, some color were matching together, for example in the main page. And you can see here in the main page, one of the achievements that we target here is that all the colors are working fine and giving to the user fast idea of where is every area located and where he can go to it. But also, as I mentioned in the calendar, there will be kind of pattern of all the work that was done and all the work that is ongoing. The next concept is called fast access by few clicks. What I try to work here is that every file will have a complete connection with other files, every element with other elements, like a project will have several protocols linked, that also this protocol will have another experiment linked, and after a huge connection there will be a complete interconnection of all the elements, giving to the user fast access to all the information and no need to go back to the beginning in order to find something. When he's working, for example, in a project, he will have exactly their access to all the experiment protocols or files that he really linked to there, and he can go directly from this place. A good main page is like a face of the app. As you saw before, it will be the place where the user is accessing after login. And in this place, the user will have access to the latest 4 or 5 elements that were modified. Why I decided to do that? Because besides the scientists could have a dozen of protocols or several experiments created, in a short time of 1 month or 6 weeks, he's having access to only 2 or 3 of them. So by this way, he will have exactly in the main page the latest elements that were modified, and for sure they will be the one that he was looking for. In case there is no need to look for another one, only by one click it will be possible to get. Everything saved goes related with the idea that in the PLN data can be removed or modified. So in this case, what we are giving to the user is the chance that to have access to previous data that he decide to remove or he decide to change the content. He will have like a record of all the changes, and he will be able to see them and recover some particular information that he's looking for. And by this way, we could get close to one of the problems that could happen, like legal problem that the user has. It could be a way of get close to resolve that. The next concept is quite obvious. Nowadays, all the sites needs to be responsible and needs to work finding different screen. In this case, the idea on almost all the devices will be more or less the same. The idea of the layout, there will be small changes in, for example, the menu or how the grid is working, but the layout and the idea will keep the same. For this first development, I decided to not target a screen smaller than 7 inches. First, because as you saw in the result, and the server result, smartphones are not quite required for scientists. Also because I think that the big amount of data that a user will have here will make it complicated to see in such a small device. Sharing data is also one of the most important concepts in my opinion. Users are all the time, scientists are all the time trying to find a way of sharing data with others. In this case, I decided to develop for this first version 2 different ways. One will be PDF files, where the user will be able to save a PDF a particular element. Another one will be as giving to another user different authorization for reading or for seeing and editing the data. 2 different examples for that could be, for example, when the user wants to share with someone something for discuss online by Skype, for example. The other user will be seeing the same information and there will be no problem of misunderstanding. Or another example will be when 2 persons are working the same project and both of them need to upload information at the same time. So now we will see some of the video that I created about the prototype. This first video is about how the user could edit a project. And here we are going to the second part where are the whole list of projects listed. And as you can see, there is a project which is half complete. We have this pending task specific for this project. When the user goes to edit it, he can start, in this case, adding the task and keep it to be the priority and date where it should be performed. After editing that, the task appears there and it's possible to then remove or to mark as done in this place. Also, there will be place for adding another text of block, because in this case I decided to do it this way because it will be better to the user to add as many text of block as he wants and not to have a big one where all data will be all together. There will be possibility to add protocols or experiment, and then will be linked there, where the user will have the chance to view or to link there. And in the area of results, when the user decides to load picture, it will appear this pop-up menu, where the user can look for the picture and add the title and a specific note that he might be looking for. So once everything is all and he upload a picture, if we go down we will see that the picture has been already uploaded. There is the place where how in the view will be the picture showing. Then there are another information like conclusion are possible, also possible chance to upload files. And there is this part that also is specific for project. It's an area where the user will be able to add different biography items because probably it could happen that after finishing the project he might be looking for make a quotation or make a citation, and in this case he will have all the biography already listed there. So once he finishes, in this case, a second biography item is being uploaded. And when everything is finished and the user decides to save that, the information will be available to see. As you can see here in the video, all the information is blurred already, and you see here that the link for the experiments or protocol that were linked is possible there on the up right, that will redirect to the completed protocol or experiment without information, and on these biography these links. The second video, in this case, the user will create the experiment from zero. As I mentioned here before, experiment will work as a group of protocols with all the change that might be necessary in this case, but also the user can add other information like an introduction for the experiment, where he might have mentioned the purpose or the reason of this experiment and set up the time and the estimated duration that the whole experiment could have. When the user adds the protocol, the list of the steps appear there, and there is also appear space for any information that we need to have. And once it's saved, we see the experiment who has the date, the same date as created and modified. That is because it's the first time it was created. And now when he decides to edit it, he can change whatever that he decides to put, or he can add extra information. In this case, we decide to add two different tags here. One is finished. In this case, also another thing that we will do will be to add a second protocol. But in this case, as I mentioned, we will add a specific change that these protocols will have in particular. Then it will be a space for additional info, or you see final results. And also it will be a place if the user decides to link another project that is related with this experiment, or if he decides to add any kind of file that could be necessary. So after editing all this information, and once the user decides to save it, then they appear in the view mode all the changes as we are looking for, and all the specific change for every protocol if there are changes inside. And now the last video is about editing a protocol. In this case, the idea is to go to a protocol which is in the main page, and we have all the data already. It's a completely full protocol. And you see in protocol there are different elements that are independent from the rest of the page, like required components or what should be ready before. Also there will be this space for adding descriptive picture, as I mentioned, that could help to the performance of a protocol. As well as in the experiment and in this project, there will be a place for linking other elements, or in this case other project or other experiments. Once we go to editing there, in this case we are changing the date, we are removing elements, also we are adding another element here. And then we are going to this editable table that I mentioned, where the user will be able to change all the information, to add a row, and to also move up and down every step for a better control. And then there will be space for additional information, and when the user wants, he can remove or edit there. And on the bottom, another thing that he can do easily will be to link other projects, other experiments, or other files. In this case we have 4 files, but in this case we will just link the last 2 files. Once he's finished, he has the view mode of the protocol with all the changes that were done. So this is how protocols works. So to conclude, I should mention my personal experience. I feel I found very interesting working on the big problem that from the scratch and trying to find the best possible solution. Also, I found very interesting the way I decided to work, being continuously in contact with people who might be using the application and trying to find the best solution together with them, like showing them the interface and improving them after the feedback. Then talking about my DN, I should say that my DN resolves very well the tracking and control and organization of data. Also improve the communication between scientists itself, also by the way this safety are ensured here and all the problem that the PNM could have could be resolved here. And something very interesting is that all this target group which I was working was having a great acceptance of the app. The next step for my DM will be to resolve how it could be offered. If it will be offered for individual user or if it will be offered for institutes, giving several accounts for every institute. And then the next thing, once it is my DM is released, it could be just the best thing to do will be to improve feature or develop new other features. So before finish, I would like to thank you for you, the supervisor, you too, for being supervisor of my thesis, to Bauhaus for giving the chance to do the master, then PI, CVC in Dresden, and Psionic Computer who helped me during the whole project research and my game development, and for everybody who was involved in the surveys, interviews, and in the group meeting, and of course to my family and friends. Thank you.
Question, maybe a short summary first of all. We had a couple of talks already during the course of your work. I still like the concept and the whole conceptual part actually. The graphics also kind of evolved during the course of the project, so it changed, and in the meantime it looks pretty clean and clear. Color scheme and all that stuff is fine, so I think I do not have any questions regarding that. You also did some initial research with interviews with the scientists, which I think is really important, although there's also different let's say preferences of different groups. Like chemists might have a different approach than biologists, like medical doctors or whatever.
Of course,
so this is also my first question. Do you think, first of all, the target group, so what kind of scientists actually did you focus on? And second part of the question is then, could you transfer the knowledge from this group to other groups?
Yeah, that is something that also was planned in the idea of if my DM grow and goes to another target group. In this case, I decided to target to biology and biochemistry. It's kind of personalization because I was better to me to improve by having the close contact with this institute and all the people who are related with this area. I found better to resolve the application. But anyway, I think that it could be extended to another areas, which the particular change is. For example, it could be going to physics, but in this case, some of the area of how, for example, the picture are resolved. Probably by physics there will be another feature, there will be another way to resolve it. Or also they could be applied easily to normal science, or I mean not normal science, like a university school, like in bachelor or something like that, when user wants to do an experiment, wants to work in a project together, it could be easily adopted to that. For that, the core decision to do will be to decide, okay, which feature should keep the same or which one should be adapted and give a specific change for another target group. That is basically what I should do if I decide to also go to another areas. I guess it depends in the science area how complex will be the change of the application or how close will be to how I develop it.
Yeah, so there's, as I mentioned, there's different preferences. For
Yeah.
example, on the internet, let's find comments of people analyzing different existing lab books. And for example, chemists then prefers the system where you can also do chemical calculus in the lab book, which you don't offer.
No.
But the question here would be, did you ever think about also the limits? Because you could actually expand your system with the problem that at some point it just becomes very complicated to use. So where's the balance?
That's something that I also mentioned when I was relating my DM with other options or the digital lab book. That was something I was mentioning in favor of having a closed application for a closed group and not being massive. There is one application which is called Electronic Lab Notebook Acceleris something, I don't remember right now the name, but it's in the thesis mention. And when I was analyzing that by seeing videos or different pictures, I found out that this is going to really to chemistry, but anyway it's so complex and so many data that the user is able to handle that I got like lost in some moment. I was like, it was like a complete environment that was giving to the user the opportunity to edit everything. I guess in my case, for my DLN, there will be a point that, for example, for physics, I don't know, there should be probably different areas that will give to the user 3D manipulation of picture, for example, if in physics, or for common science, probably could be closer to that. But probably the best solution once is getting growing and targeting so many groups is to develop different applications, to have like a whole area of different lab book for every group. I like more this idea than to have a whole application, plenty of features, and the user is only using 2 or 3 of them.
So how would you deal with different data forms then?
Sorry?
How would you deal with different data forms? For example, you have machines for analyzing fields and they have specific data forms.
Yeah. Well, this is something that I really didn't work too much on that, didn't went too deep on that. I guess that being a web application, there will be many things that the user will still needing to use other software or other applications. They probably won't resolve all the data manipulation. Also, probably if the user the term of size of picture, for example, something that I decided to could be better for my DNN is that all the picture can be stored in the file server, in the local file server for the institute, giving to the user the opportunity to manipulate big size picture, otherwise being on
Yes, but the question was more like, I'm doing an experiment and I want to maybe save the settings of the machine which did the experiment. Meaning there is a computer hooked up to a gas chromatograph and I want to just store the features.
I really didn't do a research about that. The basic issues like going to a microscope and defining the time for when I will use the platform microscope, a solution will need to link to a specific software that developing it. But
to a specific one?
For example, to having an agenda when to book something.
No.
That is something simple.
No, I'm talking about the data formats. So how do people, and this is true for, I guess, biologists, physicists, maybe it's not clear, the question maybe is not clear.
Well,
because I already have the answer, or have a potential answer for it. So how would you deal with digital data? Just listen to the question. How would you deal with digital data that you acquire during your experiments? Meaning you do an experiment and you have digital data. How do you deal with that?
Log into my DM And
Yeah.
in the computer where I have connected this machine, uploading this data in my local session, in my own session, and that is.
Do you have a place to store this digital data in your lapbook?
Well, that is why I think that file server, local file server for every institute will be the
Yes,
place.
but having it included in your lapbook would be a really nice feature, which is really additional to a pure kind of
the big problem for
text-based lapbook or whatever.
the big problem I will have there will be that user will not think too much about the size of the data that they are getting. Probably they will have TIFF file that probably can be more than 30 megabyte size. So then there will be a lot of storage online where the user will try to open it and load that. It could become slow and all these issues that also it should be. And the user will need fast machine and all kind of thing that will relate. That's why I think that having a file server, a local file server, and being that linked to my DNN could be probably better than giving to the user 3 giga, 5 giga, or 10 giga with the low internal space in another server.
But what you didn't do is technical realization, right? At least in your work, it's not documented. That's why I'm asking specifically for that. At least to get an idea of how your technical understanding is. So when you're talking about file server, what do you expect this file server to do in combination with your laptop? How do you think the mechanism should work between the two?
So linking the user, when the user is uploading information, the picture is first going to a hosting server, which is also to making like a backup of the picture in the file server. And when the user wants to get access to that, my DNN is doing also the same connection of all the elements. As well as in the network computer, we are able to enter to and see another hard driver the information, and my DNN will be like a bridge between.
Are you familiar with some kind of file server?
No, only the experience that API CVC develops this way. In API, when you take a picture on a microscope, you will load in your local server, and then you can see there on the computer. But it's all by networking, with computer networking.
Which then leads me to the last question maybe that I have regarding the sharing of information. Because we were also talking about sharing. If you have a system like this, where you take a photo of the mic, but this is exactly what I'm talking about, because this is normally standalone solutions, and none of them is actually working with the others. So my hope was, regarding the question that I put with your notebook, that you just have a place where you store kind of raw data or metadata regarding the photo, so you find the photo again on a different kind of server or service. So it
will be optimized, but it will be related always with the size of the.
But no, it's not really true, because you can have it sitting somewhere in the cloud actually. So your big data stuff can be sitting in a huge hard disk.
I have never been experienced people manipulating 1 giga files, only to load movies and all this stuff, but no.
Yes, but it's being done in sciences, so that's not a problem.
Well, in this case,
if you have big computers and central computers, you can always use them. And it would be interesting to have a link, or at least the possibility to find this information on such a huge machine in your laptop. Just store it as a small piece of information, maybe not the whole kind of set of data.
It could be a way that probably something could be interesting is that probably there will be a server where they use the picture in case they are rendered in a medium resolution, not a big file. And when the user wants to see really the big file, the huge data, he can go to the real place where the data is located. That could be a solution.
But the question here is now regarding privacy and security issues. Because especially in science, time really does matter. So when do you publish your results? Who has access to your information? So a lab book or a notebook is a very personal and also a legally relevant piece of paper. Yeah. Because if you have an entry there fixed with a date, you might get the Nobel Prize instead of somebody else.
That's
if
why
you can prove it.
that's why, for example, the idea of no removing data in this case, because probably something that you need that you remove partially of your view, you need to check again and in case there is a problem. But regarding the idea of privacy and security, what I think is the best thing is to keep working. That's why, for example, file server and local server. That's why, for example, scientists are kind of afraid of having all the information in the server that they don't know where it's located. They prefer to keep having everything in the institute where they are working. Also, institutes are pushing on this idea. So I guess that this will be a way to guarantee to user safety of data. Having all the giving to them the idea of exactly the location of all the data they are having, they are locating where exactly is stored. That is no another place where someone could hack and enter it easily.
This place where perhaps there can jump in this question of data secureness or protection. So where should the data be stored?
In my case,
on a local storage in their institute?
In my opinion, the best. That's why, for example, when I was talking about how we release, and if there was a release for individual user or for institute, in my opinion, besides I say that, I am strongly thinking that offering that to institute will be a best solution also for the security of data, because it could be better for the institute to manage all the accounts and also manage all the information that every user of the institute is uploading, and they will be controlling the server, the local server of every institute, which so will help them to the idea of big size data, and all these issues could be easily resolved this way.
Because I think that's something I misunderstood in your documentation. Because you started with this related work review where you criticize the blogs and the open source tools. And talking about open source is a solution where protection issues can be dangerous. So your web-based solution would be like a browser-based, another browser-based tool.
But the difference would be in open source. What I criticize from open source actually is that also that the way they are developed, they are not giving to scientists all the tools that also they are looking for. This is something, in my opinion, that open source are not offering. And what I think that they are not giving security to scientists is they are having a blog or the Wikipedia page or something like that, because also where are they locating the information, and because they are sharing with other people who are not even science related, and having like a web base will be the way of giving to the user the interface to have access to the data, but even though the idea of having everything located in the local server and giving to the end
although you were writing about your target group, you're talking to them very closely, very directly, and they told you about their everyday life, about uploading everything on Dropbox.
But there is something also. It's in fact also in this case in Dresden, the MPA have forward emails to the scientists suggesting to stop using Dropbox and to use a kind of internal Dropbox that the MPI is offering to them. In this something that I didn't mention, but now that you say, it's also Dropbox is also, it could have serious kind of vulnerability, could have easily. Also, it had like 1 year ago, something like that, some problem with data. But the scientists they are still finding Dropbox like the most secure and no server to locate information.
Perhaps we can jump back to some real questions. Because perhaps talking about the data protection or this issue of data security is something which is just one part of the never-ending question of topics which you could dive much deeper.
Yeah.
And there are some more. So, for example, where I was really happy about at the end of your work, you start implementing or thinking about a responsive mobile optimized version. And that's something which is really important, I think.
Yeah,
in your evaluation, you measured about 45% of smartphone and tablet users together. So that's
no, it's smartphone only 5%.
Smartphone 5, but tablet 40.
Tablet 40.
So 45%.
Tablet
in total.
is a group is considered
That's
high.
quite a lot. That's nearly half of the.
Yeah, and that is why also I decided to do a web application mostly for that.
Yeah.
That being iOS or Windows.
But that's another big topic, and you just mentioned it with a little slide with a little arrangement.
You can imagine how many. Yeah, you can imagine how many things I want to mention. I had to take away of my presentation.
Okay. So
the positive side is something that I should consider, and the idea of the web app working perfectly in different tablets and also different orientation of them.
Yeah. But what I really liked is we talked about your color scheme, about your arrangement, about your grid, and about the components, and you put much effort to improve them. So you set up a color picker and a date picker. And so many components. Cool. I think you use the whole jQuery extension.
It could be next thing to do is to try to stop using so many JavaScript.
Icon, so the tag icon, what we talked about, iconize something to describe. But you in the top right corner you put a search bar or search. So what does it do?
I mentioned that I was not thinking because besides data could be easily accessible by going to where it could be. Sometimes it could work like looking for the tags that we are adding in every different elements in project that you see or the experiment that we saw in the video. The user can start writing different tags, and it could be a way where you are searching that. It's something that I still didn't make the layout. That's why I didn't.
And the concept, no?
But the concept is that the user will be able to even look information, and the first filter will be given to the titles or the tags that the user write. But if you want to make a deep searching, for example, we want to look for a stem cell, there will be probably a word that the user is adding one or two projects all the time. He's all the time writing, for example, this word. So for such, stem cell will be kind of complicated. But that's why first the filter will go directly to titles, tags, or main part of every element. And then if when the user wants to go deep, he can really go to look for a stem cell in projects or something like that, and then we show where exactly the user writes that.
But I can imagine, especially in this level of data content.
But this nowadays is also improving. Is improving the way of looking data.
I'm searching for a special time range. The last week, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it will be part of probably of the filter search. Like there will be a special place where the user could really define which kind of searching he wants to do.
So
I imagine yes, after 1 year and a half of writing data, it will be also a big problem if the user wants to go to look for a common word that probably is added dozens of times. That's why I defined I didn't write about that, but I think that two different search levels could be improving that. The first one for titles and main part, and the second one for really go specific.
Just to keep it short, it's again another topic which you just scratch on the surface, but
it's a lot of things that
a good filter, a good search module is quite a lot of work. And for example, the share feature you mentioned. Okay, there's the owner and there's a guest.
But really, this one is not. I don't find so complicated. This one, because when you are entering, for example, you are opening a project, you will have a menu, You can go in the menu to share that. And when you decide to share this project, you choose the email or the name of the user that you want to share with him. And somehow will be the background of that will be more related to that one.
But I think in the real practice, practice.
Everyone will be more related with database and how
somebody
database is
will share
connected.
a project, but inside a project there's a data set which you want to exclude of the readability.
Yeah, that will be probably.
So again, there's so many sub questions, but what I like is with this really big topic of how to create a digital lab book, you try to cover I think the core part.
Yeah, there are several things that once the app's running, there appear several bugs and there appear different problems that the first solution that I was planning was really not the best one, and maybe they need to go back to it and really find the best solution to how to resolve. For example, that's for example you mentioned about in the project there are many elements linked and you should define what you really share about the whole project. Is for example something that I didn't consider, to be honest.
Yes.
So probably it could be
what Jens mentioned before, this issue of connecting the external devices with an API. So how can I measure something with my existing endeavor and the existing device output something which I can receive and I don't know import or implement. So there are many little items around that.
The concept is so big that there are several corners where it should be.
The last question from my side would be in all your slides there were so many lorem ipsums, so many blind text fragments. So did you make like a final evaluation? Because you started very research oriented, so you asked your target group and you
Well, something that, for example, evaluating the final prototype with this
with
target
their
group.
content or with your content?
Well, yes. For sure, once they start really working with the app, probably something could not be as they are looking. But so far, what they are finding is something interesting. The main page, something that I told about the latest modified elements and how they have fast access to this data is something that, for example, they find interesting. They find a really a good way of resolving what was the table for contents in the PLNs in a digital way. Is changed completely by still having the same idea that you go to the main page and you have really fast access to what you are looking for. This idea, for example, they found very interesting to develop. Also the idea of how everything is separated with every color was interesting, but on the other hand there was a question about, for example, what other colors? I don't care about this color that I choose. I want green, shiny green and shiny blue. Well, in this case, the solution that I defined was that the user will be able to change colors, but not to give to any area a non-color. Like the idea of having pattern of color will still be in there, but if the user wants to set that, it will be also possible in the proper setting.
So you started after the evaluation with the first relaunches.
I guess that the big evaluation will be once I can have it work. There are several things related with the code and database that I cannot handle alone, and I really cannot make it work and have a real test of that, or having no prototypes.
Yeah, that's a pity that this doesn't happen in this work, because it's a concept. I've seen so many works come and go.
I am moving forward to that, but it's something that I need more than me. For that, there are
more time.
Money, development, infrastructure, several things that should be considered for that.
But what I like, by the way, in your presentation, the video with the screen capturing, because it's something which describes the prototype, the process quite fast without setting up or without entering the browser.
How did you do that?
Basically, I made different interface.
Photoshop or? No, not Photoshop or?
No. The whole work is real. When the user interact with the application and the videos, I make everything possible, but instead of was sending to another page what is already on the data set. Nothing's so complicated.
That's something where we dive into in our talks. But of course it would be interesting to have an existing link for us.
Sure.
For projects.
Well, actually, I should give to you a CD
Yeah.
discussing the videos.
Yeah.
One of the videos that I was allowed to put,
Yeah.
like how the user is adding results or how it's managing the file,
Yeah.
and also the different change of the interface. How the kind of
Great.
is on my laptop.
Great.
Okay.
So do you have questions, the two of you, or you want to ask them when we're out of the room? No? Okay. Then thanks a lot again. We just vanish shortly and then return
Yeah, sure.
with your grades, okay?
Good.
Thank you.